I have accepted it, and the crossing simply takes a long time.
4 nights of arguing, and that sentence is the whole of tonight.
You said we would ask who could outlive a journey longer than a life.
Somebody has to still be breathing when the ship arrives.
Then who is it? Because everybody I know would be long gone.
That depends on whether a person must be awake for the whole of it.
There is a choice hidden in that sentence, beautifully hidden.
There are 2 answers anybody serious has offered, and both are peculiar.
Give me the first one, and do not be careful with me tonight.
Carry the whole of living along with you, kitchen and all.
That is not an engine, that is a house.
Which is precisely why tonight is not about engines at all.
But you spent 4 nights telling me every engine has a wall.
Every engine that shortens the journey does, and none is needed here.
Say that again slowly because it sounds like good news.
Nobody has to break a single rule to reach the star next door.
Not one rule, not even a small one at the edges?
Not one, provided you are willing to be extremely patient.
How patient are we talking about exactly?
A ship at a speed we can nearly imagine arrives in a few centuries.
Centuries is not patience, that is somebody else's whole family.
And there, in one sentence, is the turn of the whole season.
The turn being what exactly?
The trouble is no longer pushing hard, it is staying alive out there.
So the hard part is no longer the going.
The hard part is breakfast every morning for hundreds of years.
You have made a starship sound like a very long camping trip.
A camping trip nobody comes home from and nobody can write to.
Then it cannot really be a vehicle at all, can it?
It has to be a place with a kitchen in it and a school.
You said a school, and I noticed you saying it.
Hold that word, because we come back to it and it is the hardest part.
Then show me what a place that flies even looks like.
Something wide and slow, turning gently, with rooms all along inside.
So it is a wide circle of rooms with the dark outside it.
And here is the part nobody expects, because the beginning already exists.
Exists where? Because I feel I would have noticed that.
Above your head tonight, with the lights on and somebody making dinner.
There are people up there right now, while we are talking?
There have been, without one single break, for a quarter of a century.
Not one gap in all of that time?
Not one, and every child at school has lived under a sky with somebody in it.
That is a lovely thing to have never once noticed.
The place itself is not grand, roughly the size of a large house.
A house holding all of that, for all of that time.
And most of the water up there is not carried, it is used again.
The same water over and over and over?
Cleaned and drunk and cleaned again, and the air the very same way.
That is much further along than I expected you to say.
It is ours, it is genuinely ink, and I wanted that said first.
Which means the pencil is on its way in.
Most of the water, a great deal of the air, and none of the dinner.
Everything they eat goes up there with them?
Every crumb of it is sent from below again and again.
So the loop is not closed, it only looks closed from down here.
Nobody has ever closed one completely, and people have honestly tried.
Then tell me about the trying.
A group once sealed themselves inside a small made world for years.
Sealed in, with everything they could need already inside?
With farms and water and air and one another, and the doors shut.
And it worked, obviously, or you would be looking sadder.
The air inside went quietly thin, and not one person had predicted that.
Thin how, and how quickly did it happen?
Slowly, month after month, until it had to be topped up from outside.
So they were rescued by the thing they were pretending not to have.
Which sounds like a failure and was the most useful result of all.
Useful how, when the point was not needing anybody?
Because the reason was hiding in the soil where nobody thought to look.
Something in the ground was quietly eating the air.
Small and ordinary, doing a small ordinary thing without ever pausing.
And a small thing has nowhere to hide inside a small world.
A closed world forgives nothing, because there is no outside to lean upon.
Whereas out here, the outside is enormous and endlessly forgiving.
A whole ocean and a whole sky, quietly tidying up after you, unthanked.
I have never once thanked either of them for that.
Now the question with no settled answer, which I enjoy far too much.
Go on then, surprise me.
How many must leave for the ones who arrive to still be healthy?
A crew, surely, like the handful up there tonight.
far more, and the honest word is a village rather than a crew.
How big a village are we talking about here?
Careful people have argued about that for years, and they cannot agree.
Cannot agree by a little or cannot agree by a lot.
Their answers are not neighbors, they are in different streets.
And you are telling me that instead of simply picking one,
Picking one would be tidier, and it would be a small, quiet untruth.
hold on, I have only just thought of something.
You have gone very quiet, and I believe I know exactly where.
If it takes centuries, then the people who arrived did not leave.
No, and the ones who left never saw the thing they were aiming at.
A few at the beginning and a whole crowd of them halfway along.
Born on the way, in the middle, with the doors shut before they existed.
They get a whole life aboard and no say in any of it.
Nobody asked the ones in the middle, and nobody ever could have.
Then is it wrong to send anybody at all?
People argue about that seriously, and I am not handing you an answer.
You always hand me an answer.
Noticing it honestly is the grown-up part, and most people skip it.
You said there were 2 answers, and I have only had one.
The second refuses the whole difficulty by refusing to be awake.
You mean sleeping the entire way there?
Slowed almost to a stop so that the years pass without being spent.
And then, somebody wakes you up at the far end of it.
Woken by the ship itself, having aged almost nothing at all.
That is far tidier than a village and a school and an argument.
It is tidier, and it is standing on much less solid ground.
But it is not invented, or you would never have raised it.
There is a small real piece of ink underneath it, and it is lovely.
Then show me the ink first.
Some animals really do slow themselves almost to a stop all winter.
Almost to a stop, meaning what exactly?
A heart beating a handful of times a minute, and a chest barely moving.
And they get up again in spring as though nothing had happened.
Every year, in enormous numbers, and quite ordinary to them.
So slowing a person right down is a real thing that works.
And doctors cool a person deliberately during certain operations.
On purpose in a hospital today?
On purpose and carefully, with a room of people watching every moment.
Then it is half done already, and you were holding out on me.
For minutes, or at the most a day, and never once for a year.
Minutes, and I was sitting here picturing centuries.
Which is the whole gap, and it is the size of everything still to do.
Has nobody ever been slowed for years and then woken up again?
Not one person, not once, anywhere, and that is the plain shape.
But there are places that keep people cold and waiting, surely.
There are, and nobody at all knows how to wake them again.
And is anybody actually building this for a real ship?
This very summer, people had to say plainly that nobody is preparing to.
So the crossing is survivable, and nothing about it is forbidden.
Nothing forbidden, nothing missing, and every obstacle an ordinary one.
After 4 nights of walls, that is very nearly a relief.
Almost, until you notice the price is counted in whole lifetimes.
A village that never arrives, or a sleep that nobody can end.
Solvable looking is not solved, and that is tonight said honestly.
Then, if our ships keep improving, a later one might overtake an earlier one.
Next time we ask when anybody should leave, so subscribe and come with us.